Hello, welcome to another game analysis video. As always, this is just not an example, not an attempt to demonstrate perfect Blood Bowl. We're just going to talk through some of the decisions made and the mistakes as well as the things that hopefully I've done right at some point. As always, if you like this, please like the video or subscribe to my channel, or both even, and then that always helps me just to see if people are enjoying them and maybe make some more. And finally, you can always check out my Patreon page, link below. It lists all of the articles that I do, both written articles and videos here. It just collects everything that I do. You can also subscribe for coaching if you are so interested in that kind of stuff. So, I have this game here, which is some Nurgle against some Orcs. So I was struggling to get some decent opponents on BB2 to really showcase anything interesting, so I decided to try and drop down the level of the team that I was using. Hopefully that'll create some more interesting situations. So starting teams, no skills. I've gone for 4 bloater, 1 Pastigor roster with 2 rerolls. With Nurgle, I feel like the whole point of them is the foul appearance and the disturbing presence. If you're not taking that, you might as well just take something else. So the fun part of the team and the way the thing that's good about the team is that. So let's try and get as much of that as possible. So this setup here, obviously in a normal situation, you'd be looking to set up on this line here, 2 squares back to avoid quick snap. Decided to be a little more aggressive here, and the thing that Nurgle are good at are sucking up blocks. So I'm trying to play into that a little bit by placing all these guys here. They're all bunched together close. When you've got a blocking team, particularly a slow blocking team, you don't want to get your team, don't want to get your players isolated. You want them as close and bunched together so they can start lending each other assists and preventing assists from the opposition. So these bloaters here, or Nurgle warriors, I think that's still what I'm able to. They're in this position here, so that if my opponent decides to block on these guys and follows up, then I've got a block back on my turn. This is dissuade him from doing that, or get an advantage if he does. And these 2 guys here prevent my opponent from blitzing this guy off to stop that happening. Against a slower position like Orcs, I don't need to worry too much about the flanks, so I'm not protecting them particularly on this first kickoff. And I've got 1 Pastigor on the team. He's the most important player. He's the strength 6 player with horns, which is really, really useful. So he is hidden back here and protected, so that's why this 1 rotter is here, so stopping him from getting blitzed should the whole front line go down. Although broke that squeeze through there anyway, but just in case. Okay, so my opponent has won the kickoff, decided to receive, and off we go. Here we go with the kick. It's perfect defence, which is great. Bashy game, absolutely love that. So I could have just gone all in pressure, put more guys on the line, but I decided with the kickoff landing there, with the ball landing here, I decided to try and minimise blocks instead and try and pressure the ball. So I've got 2 bloaters here on the hope that maybe the ball bounces forwards and I can get some tackles on it. They're the hardest people to remove should that happen. This guy is here because I need 3 on the line of scrimmage, so these 2 squares are empty, which means I can put a guy here and a guy here without them getting blocked. And then only 1 player has to remain in contact, which is this rot spawn here, which is nice. And then these guys here are protecting the block against the rot spawn. That should be okay. I think it was probably a mistake. I probably should have put this bloater on this side because he's a bit slower and he wants to get involved a bit more. Maybe could have edged the Pastigor a little bit as well, but it's okay. It's probably a little bit better if I had done that. Maybe even just committed entirely. I don't want to commit all 4 bloaters over here. I think maybe in case he just picks the ball up and runs over here, and then that leaves this flank completely open. But I guess this covers that on both sides. So that's a judgment call. Okay, nice bounce. Still take that far away. Unfortunately, my opponent here is absolutely terrible and decides to go for a naked pickup without protecting it, which is just absolutely disastrous. And justice is done. He got punished. That's what should happen. If you make such an absolutely terrible decision like that, you should be punished. Okay, so I've got 2 rerolls and no skills on this team. No block, no dodge, no sure hands, nothing. So my main goal, especially in these early turns, is just not to use rerolls. I got the feeling that I'm going to need a reroll every turn almost. Maybe every other turn, but a lot of rerolls are going to be needed. And this drive, 8-turn drive, if there's lots of blocking going on, which there should be, Orcs against Nurgle, I'm going to have to take some both downs at some point. So I want to play my turns in such a way that I can take both downs, and so not have to use a reroll. Reroll's a pressure resource. I want to use that later on when hopefully I have the ball, or if he has the ball when I need a chance to try and turn him over with the ball. And so this turn is played out entirely with the aim of not using reroll. And so I'm going to move every single player first that I can without rolling any dice. Nurgle a really good team for that, I think. For learning basic skills, because if you get it wrong, they're so slow, it's just game over. You just have to do every little basic thing right. So what I'm doing here is building a little pocket. So the aim is to protect the ball. So even if the plan is going to be to try and blitz this guy, but I move every first, try to get some tackle zones on the ball, so that even if I fail the blitz, the ball is still in a really bad position. He's pocketed off here and he's having real trouble trying to get to it, trying to get reinforcements to this guy. This guy here, I've decided to mark up on these Black Orcs. Black Orcs are going to be a bit of a problem for me. So if I can trade one-on-one Black Orcs with bloaters, that's going to be a pretty reasonable trade. So I'm happy to do that, especially here. This is a really important turn, so marking up key high strength players on an important turn. That's a great idea. Okay, so I can take these 3 out with these 3 guys, one-on-one, that's great. I'm not going too far with this guy, I'm just leaving him in contact with the bloater, so the rot spawn, so that he might do a block there later. And again, not committing too far over to this side, just in case, you know, the Orcs hit the ball back. So here's the blitz. As you can see, I have blitzed in such a way that even if this fails, even if I have to take a both down, I've still got 2 tackle zones on the ball, with very little chance of my opponent coming around to help with assists and stuff. So that should be a half decent chance. Should I have to take that? Luckily I don't. Get the push. I left this guy, did the blitz with the guy who wasn't next to the ball, so that the guy next to the ball could then move if everything works. And then I can get in there and pin this little orc, hoping for a little cheeky surf next turn. And then I counted earlier in the turn, best score was 6 away exactly once everyone had moved, so get the pickups on, which is great. I wouldn't have re-rolled that pickup had it failed. I think it's in a reasonably good position, and don't want to use re-roll turn 1 as discussed. Might as well take that cheeky block with the rot spawn, not for the knockover as much as just for getting him next to 2 players. He's a big wall of a player, he's just there to tie people up basically, so getting him next to 2 players is a lot better than getting him next to 1. So the knockdown on the stun is a massive bonus, but it's great. Okay, my opponent's just running some Orcs back over. Obviously things going on over here, so just trying to get everyone back in contact. Yeah, my opponent's terrible. So wouldn't pay too much attention to what he's doing. You know, obviously it's in a bad position for him now, but the thing we can do is that this is why it's still an interesting game to watch, is because although my opponent's probably going to make a load of mistakes, or is going to, because I know what happens, Nurgle is so bad that you still have to try and play really, really well just to get anything out of the game. Just the fact that his team's so much better than mine means that I'm still going to have to play properly in order to win. Okay, so moving this guy in here, so he's 1 in contact with the beast if he wants to activate, and 2 provides an assist against this Black Orc should I want to block. Unfortunately the beast boneheaded, but that's fine. Okay, so I'm just going to move the ball carrier back a little bit, just try and reconsolidate in a position where he's still within touch of the majority of my players, and can't get blitz particularly. So I was quite worried, a little bit worried about there being a 3+ dodge for him to come through here, like maybe a 1 dice block to push him back and a 3+ dodge. So I was trying to get rid of this guy, but I made a mistake. So I was hoping to blitz off this guy to get a 2 dice block with him, but obviously forgot that, thinking I could block then with him, on him, to get rid of him. But that's only now 1 dice because it's 1 assist. He's not assisting because he's in contact with the Black Orc, so that's a mistake. But I'm going to play the turn, accepting that mistake. That's why I didn't follow up. So instead of following through with maybe rolling 1 dice there, changed my plan slightly, took the 2 dice block there instead. Okay. So I've now decided that the choice is now whether to take on the 1 dice here. I've decided to, there's maybe a 1 dice here on this guy, decided the choice is whether to take that on or whether just leave them there. And I've decided that I can take the both down. Both down's a good result for me because it leaves that Black Orc in contact with one of my players who's standing, and then frees up another one of my players. So basically that would be a 2+ 1 dice block for some value. So even if the both down happens, it's not the end of the world, but there's a high chance that I can get this guy free and move him around. With the idea that a both down is a result I'm happy to take, I'm going to make this 2 dice block first. It's the sort of thing that you want to be very careful about blocks when you're there's a chance that you can lose the ball or you're in trouble. But once the ball's in a relatively safe position, then you want to take your 2 dice blocks. And then I'm going to take the 1 dice. And push is great. That's what I was hoping for. I'm going to follow up because my aim here is to tie up the Orcs and then be able to move my ball carrier around the pitch freely without getting tied up. If I leave the Orcs free, then they're going to start putting pressure on the ball, so I'm putting the pressure on the Orcs instead, so that they don't get to do what they want to do. Freeing up this guy. Okay, so he's going here. I want to stop the blitz from this Orc here on him. So the worry was a 1 dice block on one of these 2 guys to come through, but this is a position where that stopped that happening. So should this guy block this guy, push him to here, then these 2 guys form the screen, and then equally if he blocks that guy away, then these 2 guys form the screen. So I can put this guy here and stop the ball carrier getting blitzed without necessarily having a standard cage, or like putting the guy here around the back of the cage. You don't have to cage at the front, you can just put players in a position where they achieve the same result. And because it's further forward, that's great. With Nurgle, if you have a player further forward because they're so slow, brilliant position. Okay, yeah, I mean, what can I say, taking blocks without standing people up, just don't do that. Just, as we were talking about on my turn, just move your players in a position where you can take a reroll, and my opponent here has done the exact opposite. He's committed himself to a reroll on the first action of the turn before moving any of the 3 players that he had. And then, having used the reroll, he's then committed himself to an action where, if it fails, nobody else gets to move. That's pretty bad. Okay, so first things first on my turn, I'm just going to see if I can activate the dude just to get his tackle zone back. He's marking a guy, he doesn't want to make a block at this point because he's doing a good job tying up these 2 Black Orcs. So here is, I think I made a little bit of a mistake. It's not a terrible mistake, but I've run away from these guys, the majority of my team, and thinking that I can just use these guys to tie up majority Orcs and then make a break down this sideline. That is the sort of thing you do with a normal team. With Nurgle, it's probably not such a great idea, to be perfectly honest. They're just too slow. Should something go wrong, or should the Orcs all dodge out, which is reasonably likely, perfectly likely, suddenly I'm going to get swamped over this side of the pitch if I go here, and then my guys won't be able to reach over to cover for it. So it's the sort of thing that I probably would have got punished for against a better opponent. I probably should have kept my guys in contact. The reason I came over here was because I wanted to be able to make these blocks without necessarily committing to a reroll. So this is a safe position for this turn where I can make positive risks and take these 2 dice blocks on. So yeah, that's a judgment call, probably a mistake in hindsight. So all I'm trying to do here is just jam up all these guys, block them out, and then try and make further forward momentum down at this side of the pitch, hopefully unchallenged, if I can successfully mark out all these guys. That's why I've moved this Nurgle warrior over here, just to cover these two guys further and make it easier for me to progress up this side of the pitch. So you may have noticed I could have taken a second block on this Black Orc, could have pushed him to there and then had a second block with him, but I played for position instead rather than for the second block by moving the guy over here. Yeah, and when I'm taking my 2-dust blocks, a lot of the time you may notice I'm taking it against players without block if there's the opportunity, which means that a both down result, should I have to take it, is you know, has some value for me as well. We both fall over. So the Orcs quite rightly just running their guys back. It's finally calmed down and started moving some players before rolling dice. Maybe this goblin should be moving as well, right? Yeah, I mean, you know, he's rolling a few skulls, but he's, you know, he should be putting himself in a better position for when those skulls happen, or if they happen. Yeah, this is a slight problem with Nurgle being so slow, is that, you know, we're only going like 3 squares forward this turn. Quite happy running over here now after that turn from my opponent, because I can get 4 guys in a little mini cage here. Don't need to cover this side, there's nobody there, against 2 of his guys. Obviously the intention here is to blitz this guy. I'm not moving this guy yet, he's happy marking that guy, but if this goes well, then maybe I'll move him. Then you push. That's not great, but hey ho. And I've decided that I guess if I was playing an elf team, or you know, this was a ghoul or something, I'd probably leave him there marking this guy with the idea that I could dodge away and do something cool next turn with him. Because I'm so slow, I need to move him this turn in order to get somewhere else next turn. He's a strength, he's movement 1 next turn basically, so I'm just going to have to leave him there and then deal with him 2 turns down the line. Again, blocking a non-block player. And then finally, here, blocking another one. It's a reasonable position because he's behind the play, trapped behind this bloater. So, yeah, that's great. Finally moves the goblin. I love the goblin animation, the way he runs so quickly. Finally standing some guys up first. Well done, Orc man. Foul appearance was great. Does some cool stuff. Yeah, so another thing, I'm not activating these 2 guys in my turn. Just decided they were quite happy marking these guys up. The chance of me failing or having to commit to a reroll and then freeing a Black Orc up to steam into my cage is just not worth it. So, you know, they'll tie 2 for 2, tie those guys up, and then leave me to possibly make a breakaway down here. Not sure why I didn't just make a 2-dust block, but I guess this is better. Marks 2 players out. So just moving this guy up in case something fails. He's not going to do anything else, so he's better off being forward rather than back. Again, don't roll any dice. Setting up blocks for later in the turn, so I'm setting up that 2-dice block on this guy, and then that 2-dice block on this guy, should that work. But he's going to move there for a roll any dice to set it up for later. Oops. Okay. This is where things get slightly sticky. Would have preferred that to be a knockdown, but there you go. Okay, so why am I blitzing rather than blocking here? Because I'm going for position again. I want to just, well, we'll see where I end up. Just want to get a little bit further forward here, go around here, in a position where it's quite difficult for my opponent to get to me. So he's going to have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So he needs to make 2 3-up dodges and 2 go for it for a 1 die from the ball. He's got no rerolls left. I'm kind of happy to have to leave that for him at this stage. And we need to make some sort of forward progress, even though it's only 10-5. You can't just stagnate because you'll get pushed back. You need to be slightly ahead of the play so you've got the opportunity to break, and you have to make your opponent roll some dice. Okay, so now I'm making that 2 dice block I was talking about. Not following up to enable this 2 dice block, which can get a chain surf on this guy. So this guy can now no longer block with my my big guys, but he's all, but he is out of the play. Can't get through this gap. Yeah. Why are we rolling 1 dice before we stand at this guy? Just yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, you know, he's rolling a few dice, but it's not the end of the world. It's not ridiculous. Here, probably should be standing up these guys here before rolling 1 dice blocks and dodges with no rerolls. But hey ho. He's got away with this turn. He didn't get away with it the first turn, important turn. So can't ask for him to fail every dice roll, even if he is making some bad decisions. Yeah, I mean, even though these 2 guys have both been knocked down, I'm really happy with that. This is a mistake. He should have pushed the rot spawn back here, so that I couldn't just use this guy to activate him, but really stupid. I would have to commit to one of my other guys over here. That's a really bad positional mistake. But yeah, these guys sucking at these blocks, that's great. Stand him up again next turn, hit him again. Perfect. Stays out of the cage. Brilliant. Okay, so this is a 1 in 81 block, trying to get rid of the guy next to the ball carrier. You may be asking, after all that talk, why I didn't stand this guy up first. The reason is I was planning to potentially surf this guy. So if I could get I was trying to roll this block, and if it was a push, I'd play the turn slightly differently. But if it's a pow, then I could blitz with this guy, push him back, surf him with this guy, and then just not move him, have him do a block action, and then these 2 guys would be free to make the cage up. So that would have been a reasonably safe way of surfing this guy, and then I've got 3 turns left to move forward and score. Fortunately, 1 in 81. So no dice. But, you know, I think that was still the right decision. You could surf the guy. I mean, I don't know why he isn't surfing my guy, but he gets the ball in the crowd anyway. So, well, fair enough. This one's going on a bit long. He hasn't got enough to. He can't score. He's not in range, and yeah, I don't score either. So let's just skip forward. Yeah, that's that. Okay. So I tried to pick the ball up, didn't pick it up. In my set turn, I moved some guys forward to score, in the hope that I could maybe run back here and get a 6 pass or something, but you know, that's not important. So, you know, I've got 1 more turn to try and do this pass, but I don't make the pickup. So, okay, second half. 0-0. So, I got a reroll off the kick-off. Oh, we haven't had it yet, but I do get a reroll off the kick-off, which is great, obviously. A lot more security. It's going to enable me to use it a bit more proactively rather than just trying to save them all for the end of the drive. Okay, here it is, the reroll. Okay, so balls landed here. I just talked through my setup quickly. So basically, this is just trying to stop the Orcs getting through should the ball land shallow or there be a blitz or anything. I'm setting up a 2 dice block on this guy, 2 dice block on this guy, then a 3 dice block on the strength 3 guy player in the middle. And these guys are here like this just to defend the breakthrough. So the line is safe with these two guys protecting it. If the ball should land here, then I could just move my players over. These two guys are sent for that reason. As always, one guy in the middle, extra who's not picking the ball up, to just mark it should something go wrong. And then I can afford to take them both down on these dice if they don't work. Which they so far are doing. Unfortunately, I can't got the 3 dice here, so not falling up to enable the 3 dice, which is good. Mark these guys up. Okay, so these guys are shifting over just a little bit, just one square over each way, because I'm going to make a blitz with this guy here, and I just want to make sure that this line through here is completely covered. Should I have to, you know, take a skull or both down when I blitz with this guy, and there's no gap in the middle. Okay, so I'm again blitzing from this square here rather than this square, so that it's in contact with one of his Black Orcs. Should I have a successful roll, much better to be in that position. Push as far. This case, any block where I'm on my feet is something I'm happy with. And then get the pickup, that's cool. And then because I've got these little defenders here, I can just move this guy forward, and he's in no danger of getting hit. Versus Orcs. Against, you know, wood or something. I'm not going there. I've absolutely no idea what my opponent was doing this turn. He just did that one blitz and then just didn't move any of his other players. Not really sure why. So I can see a little gap down this side there, so we're going to try and waddle down here. Not much faster you can go with Nurgle. When you play in a bash team like this, one of the things you can do is just try and put people in front of your cage, just form a little beachhead so you can move into it in future turns. You can see also that this is protecting my ball carrier. So you might think, well, why don't you just have a normal cage with a guy back here? But there's no danger of this side of the pitch. I can put this guy here, which is even better, because it protects this guy from being blitzed. So, you know, the Orcs might want to blitz him on their turn, put a guy next to the ball. If I put this guy here instead of here, then he is both forming a beachhead for next turn. He's stopping my cage getting blitz in the next turn. It's, yeah, much better position. So yeah, not rolling any dice first, just moving players forward. Happy to be in contact there with these blocks lined up, even if they fail. That's just coverage should they fail. And then, so let's go up. I'm not going to put him next to this Black Orc. I don't want to let him get blocked for no reason. I could have moved this guy over here, but and just done nothing in an attempt to move into this space next turn. But I think I thought I can try and line up 3 less blocks with him there, and also just be in context better should he bonehead. I was going to plan to blitz with this guy, blitzing on this blitzer. Fortunately, I rolled the pushback, but that's fine because I've still got my little defense here. That means my ball carrier is practically safe next turn. I decided to take the 3 dice, the 2 dice rather than 3 dice. I wouldn't do that every turn, but in this case, it gets me an extra 3 players rather than being marked out by 1 lineman. So, you know, the advantage of having 3 players next to the beast rather than just 1 of the worst players. It's worth taking. Okay, so the Orcs are moving over to cover this side of the pitch. And then this is a terrible decision. You want to be blitzing where the pressure is, not just randomly blitzing the least threatening player on my team with one of your Black Orcs. So I knocked a Black Orc out in the first half, didn't come back, so he's only got 3 Black Orcs now, and this guy is just going to get completely marginalised out of the play now. The other 2 are next to the beast. That's not going to be a great position. Taken them both, had to take them both down on. Well, he decided not to use reroll to both down the beast, which is great for me. So, in the previous turn, I said I didn't want to give away a free block on the Black Orc. Now he's committed to this guy down here. This is a great mark out. You know, if I can get a couple of turns before this guy gets stunned or knocked out, this guy's out of the game basically. So this is now a much better trade. I assume you just move him back over here. Okay, so again, I'm just trying to work this turn so I don't need to commit to a reroll. I didn't really want to make this blitz at this stage. I wanted to move some other players first, but I kind of had to see what happened with it before I moved the rest of my players. Luckily, it was a POW and a stun, which is good. And then this one as well. I'm in a safe position, so I can afford to take this block on, even with that block, because I've got my cage here and a little bit of forward coverage as well. So that's great. And then that allows me to move this guy forward. Just trying to get my trying to do what I didn't do in the first half, which is get as many bloaters around my cage as possible. So I've got my strength 4 players to make forward momentum with. So when you're playing a slow team like this, you need to not just be doing like perfect cages, you need to be making forward pressure as well. So I mean, this guy's completely covered. There's no way he can. He's got 2 guys covering this corner of the cage. So whoever if he can half dice either of these guys, and it's still a 6-up dodge to get in to hit the ball. So that's fine. So that's a good example of how you can cage. You can cage in contact with a player. Like, not every cage that's in contact with a player on one of its corners is a bad cage. If you just have 2 players marking the same corner, then that one player can't remove both of them, and then it's essentially a safe cage. Very happy to be marking out these 2 Black Orcs with the Beast and the remaining Bloater. Yeah, I mean, this is a great trade for me. I'm happy for this to happen all day long. Keep him out a couple of turns. Would not be re-rolling that dodge. Much more important things down the line, you would think. Okay, so we're just going to try and get forward down this line here. Just jam these 3 bloaters in against these strength 3 players, and then hope that it proves too much strength for him to deal with. So before I roll dice on the blitz, I'm just going to move this guy forward here, and then I can mark 2 pro players with one of my rubbish players, and make a great trade there for man advantage. This is also just keeping up the pressure. I possibly could have put the ball carrier here, I think. This allows a 1 dice block or a blitz coming in here to put a tackle zone on the ball. I just didn't want to risk some kind of absolute madness in the war in the crowd, but I think the chances of that are virtually none, so I probably should just put that guy there instead. But I've got a little cage, so it should be okay. And then finally, once I've done all my safe actions, I'm doing my blitz. It's only a push, but that's fine. I've decided to not follow up because I've got 2 strength 4 players on 2 strength 3 players, which is fine, and then I can keep this strength 4 player here against these 2, so that's 3 on 2 here, and then 2 on 2 but much higher strength here. So these are all good positions for me to be pressurising the Orcs, pushing them back rather than them pushing me back. And again, didn't block with either of these 2 guys because they're doing a great job just holding up his high strength players. 3 of his players versus 2 of mine was great. This guy's still doing his job. Want to hear it? And this is where foul appearance comes into play. This is what I was talking about at the start of the game, where bloaters and rot spawn are really good at just sucking up blocks. That's what their job is. So yes, this is what I was talking about with just blocking this guy and falling up a tackle zone on the ball. I didn't need to give him that. I could have just been there to avoid it completely. This is a much better turn for my opponent. You know, he's getting players stuck in and causing me some trouble. You know, against you know, rookie Nurgle, just putting players next to them is often enough just to end the drive. I mean, you saw it in the first half. He just put a guy next to my ball carrier, and I won an 81, and that was that. But even if, you know, you've done that 3 times, and I rolled it 1 in 9 3 times, you know, it's the same result. Could have done that over several turns rather than just all at once, but it would have been the same result. Which is why I was doing the double layer cages at times, just so I didn't have to, you know, be rolling must succeed blocks every single turn. Just trying to have several turns during my drive where I can afford to just turn over straight away if I have to. So what happened here, I blitzed over here hoping to make a bit of forward momentum and use the reroll, in which case I'm thinking I want to be in scoring position because it's starting to get a little bit stuck, starting to get bogged down a little bit. I don't want to get myself in a position where, you know, I defeat myself. Like this line of 5 orcs here is quite threatening on these 3 guys. I can get pushed in and pressured too much. So I'm setting myself up to score next turn. Should the need arise, or should I have to? It's just gonna give me an out should things go wrong, or should I, you know, suck up a reroll too early. Obviously, I'm trying to score an 8. I'm trying to stall just to win the game, but can't have everything. Just important to give yourself some options. Yeah, and Orcs are doing well here, just trying to make it really difficult for me to score. Nice foul appearance roll there, and this I'm not sure about this though. Not sure about pressuring the back of the cage. That's often not a particularly good idea unless you can actually get somebody with a ball carrier, and sometimes not even then, because, you know, there's this huge gap at the front here I can just run into, and where that blitzer could have been over here, give me all sorts of trouble. You know, if he's going to keep rolling 1 dice, you know, I'm not rolling these dice against these guys. I'm just happy to let him get sucked in, and so, you know, eventually he's going to skull these guys. He powered a few in the first half, 1 dice. He's going to keep sculling. So I've decided this turn I'm going to score. Because of this goblin, basically. I can't get... If I get the ball carrier through here, which is quite easy, I can't get enough players to cover it because of Nurgle, because they're so slow. And I can't dodge and stuff like that. So my main way of stalling would have been to get through here and maybe get a couple more players to cover. But this goblin's in a good position to stop me doing that, so I'm going to have to score. So before I do anything else, just going to stand everybody up. So this is a slight mistake. I'm not sending this guy up first. I changed my mind. I was originally going to blitz with him, and I wanted to see what the result of this block was first. Because if he doesn't go down, then I can't get through to score as easily. I shouldn't have done that. I should have stood him up first, because someone else has been a blitz instead. So what I'm doing here, I could blitz with the ball carrier, move there. He's got an assist and horns, 2 dice, and then so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and go for it to score. That involves rolling a 2 dice block without block, and I go for it with the ball carrier. So I'm going to do some dice without with non-ball carrying players instead, which achieve the same result. So I'm going to block here for 2 dice, which is the same 1 in 9 I would have rolled, and then I'm going to blitz here for 2 dice on him. Which is better than the go for it I would have rolled, so it's a 8 and 9 rather than a 5 and 6. And as we mentioned, I used a reroll there, so very happy to have made that decision. As mentioned, I couldn't blitz with him because the angle would have been wrong. If I'd rolled the push there, you know, I wouldn't be able to get through. would have been like 1, 2, and then I dodged that rear roll. Don't want to do that. So I had to blitz with this away. Or a push would have been enough. Could have gone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I'm just going to score. Which, you know, leads the Orcs 3 turns to score, but well, I think that's okay. It's better than not scoring, which probably would have been the outcome if I just end up staying there for another turn with the reroll used as well. At this point, my opponent conceded, which is a bit weird because he had a fair chance of scoring. You know, 3 turns with Orcs, it's not likely, but you know, I'll take the extra money. No problem at all. Okay, so thank you very much for watching. I hope there was some interesting stuff in here. Maybe you learnt something. You know, if you did, please like and subscribe. And thank you very much for watching.